If your dog has ever stood still in the middle of a quiet room, ears slightly raised, eyes locked onto something you can't see, and then suddenly started barking like there's a real threat right there in front of them, you know that feeling. That strange moment where everything is calm for you, but clearly not for them. You look around, nothing. No one at the door, no movement outside the window, no sound you can pick up. And yet your dog is completely convinced something is there. Most people laugh it off. Some get slightly annoyed. A few even feel uneasy, like maybe their dog is reacting to something beyond their understanding. But what almost everyone does, wrong, is ignore it. Because in your dog's mind, they are not barking at nothing. There is always a reason. Always something that triggered that reaction. The problem is, that reason doesn't exist in your world the same way it exists in theirs. Dogs don't experience reality the way humans do. They don't rely primarily on sight like we do, and they don't filter their environment through logic or assumptions. Their world is built on senses that are far more sensitive than ours, especially when it comes to sound and smell. What feels like silence to you can be filled with layers of information to your dog. Tiny vibrations, distant noises, scents carried through the air, subtle changes in the environment that your brain simply filters out as irrelevant. But your dog doesn't filter it the same way. They notice it. They react to it. And when something doesn't feel right, they don't sit there analyzing it. They respond instantly. That bark you hear isn't random noise. It's communication. It's a signal that something has caught their attention, something they don't understand, or something they think you should be aware of. And this is where most people completely miss the point. They think the dog is overreacting, being dramatic, or just bored. But from your dog's perspective, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're alerting you. Because in a dog's mind, you are part of their pack, and part of being in a pack is warning each other about potential danger. Even if that danger turns out to be nothing from your perspective, the instinct behind the behavior is real. Now here's where it gets interesting, because not all barking at nothing comes from the same place. Sometimes it's about hearing something you can't. Dogs can pick up frequencies that are completely outside the human hearing range. High-pitched sounds from electronics, distant footsteps, a car door closing blocks away, even subtle movements, inside walls. What you hear as silence might actually be full of faint signals that only your dog can detect. Imagine sitting in a completely quiet room and suddenly hearing a faint knock or a whisper from somewhere you can't locate. You'd react too. Your dog is doing the same thing, just with a much more sensitive system. Other times, it's not about sound at all. It's about smell. A scent drifting in from outside. The presence of another animal that passed by hours ago, or even changes in the environment that signal something unfamiliar. Dogs read the world through scent in ways humans can't even fully imagine. They build entire pictures of what's happening around them based on smells alone. So when your dog suddenly starts barking at an empty corner or staring at a wall, it might not be empty to them. There could be something there that your senses simply can't pick up. But beyond sound and smell, there's another layer that people rarely think about, and that's your dog's emotional awareness. Dogs are incredibly tuned into human behavior. Even the smallest changes, the way you breathe, the way your body moves, the tension in your voice, your posture, your energy. If something shifts in you, even slightly, your dog notices it. And sometimes their reaction isn't to what's physically there, it's to what they feel from you. Stress, anxiety, restlessness. You might not even realize you're carrying it, but your dog picks it up instantly. And when they don't fully understand what's causing that shift, they react in the only way they know how. They bark. They alert. They try to make sense of it. This is why some dogs bark more at night, or when the house is quiet, or when you're alone. It's not just about external triggers. It's about the environment as a whole. The silence, the stillness, the lack of distraction. In those moments, small things become more noticeable, both to you and to your dog. And for a dog, that heightened awareness can lead to reactions that seem exaggerated from your point of view. But here's the part that really matters, and the reason you shouldn't ignore this behavior. Because how you respond teaches your dog something, every single time. If you ignore them completely, They may feel like their warning doesn't matter. If you react with frustration, they may become confused or anxious. If you encourage the behavior unintentionally, they may do it more often. Your response shapes how your dog understands the situation, and more importantly, how they understand you. Because from their perspective, they're not just barking into the void, they're trying to communicate. They're trying to tell you something changed, something feels off, something needs attention. And when that signal gets dismissed over and over again, it can start to affect how secure they feel in their environment. But this doesn't mean every bark is serious. It doesn't mean your dog is sensing something mysterious or dangerous every time. It just means there's always a reason behind the behavior, even if that reason is small or temporary. And understanding that difference is what separates a confused owner from one who actually understands their dog. Instead of asking, "Why is my dog barking at nothing?" the better question is, what is my dog reacting to that I can't see? Because once you start looking at it that way, everything changes. You stop dismissing the behavior and start observing it. You notice patterns, when it happens, where it happens, what your dog does before and after. You start to see that it's not random at all. There's always a trigger, even if it's subtle. And when you begin to understand those triggers, you gain something most dog owners never do. Real insight into how your dog experiences the world. And that's where the connection deepens. Because the more you understand their perspective, the more clearly you can respond in a way that makes sense to them. Not just reacting, but actually communicating back. Showing them that you're aware, that you're paying attention, that you're part of the same environment they are. And once your dog feels that, something shifts. The barking becomes less frantic, less confusing. It starts to have context, meaning. And you stop seeing it as a problem and start seeing it as what it really is, a message.